I'll say what I said 2 weeks ago. We just saw each other.
Yeah.
So I don't know how creative a couple of you got in the last 18 hours.
Great amount, probably.
Yeah.
You mentioned yesterday the rotation adjustment, playing hard and fast. As a result of that, is there anything maybe a little bit more detailed that you took away when you watched that game back?
Oh, not really, Cole. I'm with you in terms of the question, but no, we played really hard, and we played hard in the second half, but we played really hard in the first half. And we were able to cover things that we didn't cover the first time that we played Bradley because we played so hard. So it wasn't scheme. Again, we tweaked. I know I mentioned it yesterday. We tweaked a couple things, but and that helped us on a maybe 4 or 5 plays in the first half. But big picture, it was simply we played really really hard.
Kind of a follow up to my question from the Zoom call. With the way that RJ plays, does it make him a little bit more essential to the playing harder, playing faster style that you want this team to have over the next couple of years?
Well, it fits him so well. Right? That's the way he practices. That's the way he works out. He's got that bounce in his step all the time. It does. It certainly fits his personality, right? And so that has, and I know, we touched on it. I know this morning, but when you pick the ball up like that, right? That impacts the 4 players behind you. Right? It impacts the players on the bench. It impacts the coaches. It impacts the people in the building. That impacts everybody, and it impacts everything that's going on. So. That had a lot to do with the way that the game turned out yesterday.
Seeing a guy who's got a lot to prove in this program still as just a freshman, what message does that send to the rest of the team? Does it remind them of when they were freshmen and they were that guy that needed to earn it, prove it, and does it affect their defense when they're watching a true freshman pick up a guy at full court like that?
Yeah, I mean it's just thinking about it as a player, like when you're a freshman and you haven't, you're what's the best way I can frame this? When you get into your 4th year and your 5th year, it isn't that you don't know and don't understand, of course, because you've been here a long time, but your body's a little bit beat up. For RJ, he doesn't have a lot of miles on them legs, right? And now, does that mean he won't be doing the same thing here in 3 or 4 years, right? When he's an older guy, most likely he will be, because that's just who he is and that's the way he's wired. But it is, and again, I'm talking about myself thinking through it as a player. When I was a freshman and the role that I played, and you're going to play 6 to 12 minutes, and you go out there and you run around like crazy, and you can't really do anything to screw it up. So it's a totally different deal, right? Than when you're 35 minutes and you have that kind of responsibility, and you've got everything that you've got to pay attention to. And sometimes that gets in the way of playing really hard, right? Because you're thinking about and wanting to make sure, okay, we're going to cover this out of bounds play right. Hey, fellas, remember now, if they run this, you got to be here and I got to be here. Like, there's a lot of that you take on as you get older, right? And so I'll tell you this, Ethan. Just appreciate how hard we played at Valpo and how hard we played yesterday, and feel like we can go and do it again. Right? You don't know how the game's going to turn out, but you can play that hard, right? So. We're off today, and give them a little break. We lifted this morning, but give them a little break this afternoon, and then we'll go at it, tomorrow, and see if we can play really hard again Wednesday.
Thinking more about the rotation adjustment after yesterday's game, maybe think of the 14-15 team, especially with Seth being on your staff. That was a true 10-man rotation with a lot of minutes balanced. I think Seth led that team in minutes at like 28. Game.
Yep.
Was that something that at all came to mind, especially with Seth being on the staff when you made this decision?
No. I don't know if I got all the way there. There was, I think we touched on a couple of things, and I didn't get any farther than trying to, okay, how can we get 3 or 4 of these guys to get their minutes down, right? So that they don't, in their mind, again, if you're playing 35 to 38 minutes, I think I did talk about this a little bit yesterday, you have to figure out where you're gonna catch a little break, right? You just, when you're playing 25 to 28 minutes, you don't have to think about that. Again, and then wanting to give some certainty to those guys on the bench that we've talked about all year, and we haven't quite got there yet. Like wanting to give those guys some certainty, and I really didn't get past those 2 things. Like just feeling like we need to play harder, and I'd like to see us play faster. Right? And this, for right now, is the best way to structure it and do that. And let's see how far we can push it. So I didn't really get past those 2 things.
Given the developmental arc of Jacob Hudson's career, playing a lot more minutes now than he did at Loyola, do you almost developmentally kind of see him through a similar lens, like maybe a Trey Campbell right now, where there may be that much left to unlock in his game?
Yeah, well, I guess where I would start is there is nothing like being on the game floor, okay, game minutes, right, for development, right, and that's and we're seeing that. You mentioned Trey, but to your question about Huddy, like we're seeing it in real time, aren't we? Like his confidence and the way he's moving and the way he's playing and the things he's doing. There's nothing like game minutes, right, and if those happen for a guy, extended minutes happen when you're a freshman and sophomore, right? You see that developing, happening at that time. And I think this is, to your question, Cole, he didn't have the game minutes the last 2 years, so you miss out on the most important part of that development. And that's been fun to see. He's playing his best basketball, and I think most fun to see just the confidence growing in him, and he's got a lot of runway left, right? He's got a lot of runway left, and he's doing great right now, but he's got a lot of runway left, and that's exciting.
Illinois State,
Thinking about that.
They've played some really good basketball lately. Have you been able to see them lately and what's gone into that?
Yeah, I watched 2 games yesterday after we got home, so I spent some time watching, taking some notes yesterday. They're doing a lot with their defense and playing really hard and playing well together, right? And I say that they made 4 threes at Indiana State and beat Indiana State a week or so ago when they had just gotten ranked 23rd in the country. They made, I believe, 14 threes yesterday, right? So they can do it either way, okay, is what, as I got started, what struck me. So then you watch them play 2 games, and it's what I said. They play extremely hard. They really are playing well together. The freshman point guard is playing great basketball, right? But everyone else is older, right? A number of seniors, right? So you've got a lot of guys that have played college basketball, whether it's at Illinois State or other places. They've got a lot of older guys on the team, and that freshman point guard is playing great right now. But they do a lot with their defense, right? And they can win a game when, like I said, when they make 4 threes at Indiana State. They can win a game when they make 14 threes, or have the ability to make 14 threes, right? They're playing good. Yeah.
Coach Schwab talks about planting seeds as a competitor. You go out there, you handle a guy, plant the seed that next time that you go up against him, it's going to be a tough battle. What seed do you think you planted in the minds of the rest of the Valley with the last 2 games in the rotation of having 10 fresh guys who can come out and
maybe just you've just got more to do now in terms of scouting. You've got more to do in terms of when you go through the personnel stuff. It just takes time, and I think about on our side of it, right? When you're playing a team that they're playing like Bradley, right? They're going to press you and they're going to play some zone. There's some teams that are going to play man to man the entire time. It just takes a little more of your energy to prepare for a team that's doing a second defense, right? Or they're pressing you after free throws. You watch us play Valpo, you watch us play yesterday, and now you've got to spend a little more time on Landon, a little more time on Mike, a little more time on RJ. Cole and KP have been playing, but now you've got to spend a little more of your time, right? That takes some of your energy. And then we played faster in both, right? So now you've got to, again, looking at it, if I'm on the other side of it, right? You've got to spend a little more time talking about, at least, if not working on, some transition drills, right? Some of the pace of what we've done in the last 2 games. So it just puts more on the plate, right? And then we'll see, once the ball gets thrown up Wednesday, we'll see what impact it has, right? But in between now and Wednesday, my hope is that it does. It puts a little more on the plate for the team that we're playing against in terms of their preparation, the energy they've got to spend on a couple different, a couple of guys, or playing a little bit faster.
I'm curious how the redshirt year is benefiting Ige.
Oh, he looks good. Yeah, the amount of time in the weight room has really helped him. Right? He's making more shots in practice here the last, I would say, I'd give it 3, 4, 5 weeks. He's making more shots than he has made in his time here. I'm talking 3-point shots in particular. But his body's different. He's just added some strength. He's moving better defensively, and he's making more jump shots. So it's been good to him.
And then injury update on Hunter and Wes.
Yeah, Wes is doing well. He had an individual workout, I think it was either 2 or 3 days ago, had his first individual workout, and just kind of getting back into it. Okay, so he was doing it, but he's still working his way back. The ankle is doing great. It feels great. The weight room's been really good for him as well. The extended time in there. I'm not going to put a number on it, whether it's 2 weeks or 4 weeks or 6 weeks, to where he's really moving around on the court. Okay, but he's doing very well. Okay. And Hunter's been working out now for probably 3 weeks, 2-3 times a week. He's been doing some shooting and some ball handling, which is more than what he was doing prior to that. He won't return to practice, but no matter how long we would play, I don't see him returning to practice in the next 6 to 8 weeks, even if we played it all the way out. But his knee is doing really good. He feels great.
Some of this may repeat a question that Ethan had a couple weeks ago when Tanya was approaching the conference wins record, but since you got it on Saturday, I asked her this postgame. How special is it not just for the 4 of you, between Tanya, yourself, Mark Farley, Bobby Peterson? You've all been together now 17 years collectively as a group. All of you have your conference's wins record. What does it say about each of you getting an accomplishment, the kind of time that you've spent together collectively with your teams, and what it says about the university as a whole, that you're all still here doing all these great things and setting the table for the next generation?
Yeah, I think that's what you hit on there at the end, Chris. I think is this is a really cool place. Like, this is a special place. Like, you don't stay this long, and it extends beyond the 4 head coaches that you've mentioned. You see it in a lot of places on campus. So it is. It's a special place, and it's unique in that the ability to recruit the quality of student athletes. The young people that come here, right? So again, no matter it can be in athletics, it can be in pick a department on campus. Like, there's all kinds of just big time things going on this campus, and so it's a cool place, man. And this is it's great that our athletic department can have this be something that everyone can point to, talk about in terms of wanting to stay, being able to accomplish things that are significant. But man, it's going on all over our campus, right? And that's what makes it great.
I meant to ask you yesterday, since AJ was here,
Yeah.
how much Bucks basketball do you find yourself watching?
Yeah.
What's impressed you most watching this game translate to the NBA?
Yeah, I've been watching more since Doc took over. I've been watching every minute. I try to find it every game now, that he's played most nights since Doc took over. So yeah, I've got it on and watching real close, like as I know most of us are. But yeah, I'm watching it every night that he's on. I'm trying to find it, and we've got the NBA package, so I get most games. So yeah, I've seen a lot of his action here in the last 2 weeks or so. He's playing good. He's moving good defensively. I'm sure everybody's watched him a little bit, but right, I mean, his body looks great. And he stopped in the office on Friday when he got back to see everybody in the office, and saw him after the game, of course. But he looks good. His confidence, it's not that his confidence has ever shifted or wavered. He works too hard for his confidence to be impacted, right? But he just looks good, right? And you can tell he feels good about how he's playing. He's excited about being in there, each night now, and obviously hoping that continues. Right? But yeah, I'll have it on again on it's Friday. They're at Minnesota on Friday. Is the next game? So.
You read my mind in the post game when you asked that the natural next question was why didn't you change the rotation sooner? So does that gnaw at you a little bit when you think about that and you figured it out maybe a little bit? You wish you
Nope.
would have done it sooner.
No, can't go back, Ethan. Yeah, and I don't mean that to dismiss your question. No, I mean not one bit. I look, as a staff, the decisions we make, or the decisions I make as a head coach, are to help us play the best we possibly can. And that's what I've been doing for 17 and a half years. And so sometimes I get it right, sometimes I don't get it right, sometimes I get it right sooner than later. But I don't, no. Yeah, I don't spend any time thinking about going back there. Unless you could say that we would have beat South Florida, North Texas, Texas Tech, and someone else. If that was part of the equation, then I would be kicking myself, because we'd be in position to get an at-large bid had it continued, right? All right, that's good for today. Thanks.